I'm going to try to get you to speak up about something, because sooner or later, when I finish speaking, there's something that you can pick from what I say that triggers something you need to say. I would like to do that early, so I can, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was younger, much younger, I used to paint and draw a lot. Now,
What was that?
Paint and draw.
You paint and draw?
Yeah, and somewhere along the line, I just stopped doing it. And then recently, I decided to do it again, and I bought this $89 easel and paints and everything. But I don't. It's really hard for me to get started. I'll look at the darn thing, and then I'll paint for a little while. In about 15 minutes, I don't know if anybody in here has ever painted, but it's very demanding. You really got to focus on what you're doing. You got to keep it, the colors right, and you can't let them dry out too quick. And but it seems like I'm not getting around to do it, and I should do it. But
well, all I can say to that, excuse me, maybe we may not be able to finish this session because of my voice. But generally speaking, what you're lacking is a purpose. And so you figure you're going to do something for a purpose, and that's not good enough. How old are you?
70. I'm 70 years old.
So what have you done in your life that was meaningful? I mean, like I'm doing right now. I'm doing something meaningful, even though it's difficult. So I'm sitting here with a terrible voice, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing it. Sounds like I'm gargling. But it's the best I can do. I like talking to you as long as you can. But everything I do is because I love to do it. I love to play with my grandchildren. I love to, write science books. I like to talk with you. It's no effort for me for you to sit here or even call me, because actually I have to limit something. I have to limit it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any breath left, because everybody would want to be calling me on the telephone. So I try to arrange my conversations for here. But the thing is, everything I do has meaning. And especially the greatest meaning is when I'm challenged. When I'm challenged or an attempted is to take away my life. Not necessarily through violence of any kind, by intimidation, cruelty, thoughtlessness, jealousy. Whatever it is, or because I'm different. Or I lose money and my business goes down, or the foundation is threatened. Those are the moments that are my best. Those are the moments that count, and that is where the meaning of life lies. Not because things are good. That should be a reward for endurance and resilience to those moments. Courage, cheerfulness under fire, right? That is it. And if you do not have that, you will die. You will die a brute. You were born a brute, you die a brute. When I say brute, not spiritual. We have a potential of retaining the earthiness of our existence. I call it brutishness, because a little boy goes up and he gets married, and he's just a reproducing machine. See, looking for love or but some are mean-spirited and some are sweet and nice, but every one of those young men are selfish. All they want is pleasure. See, never mind how responsible they appear to be. Deep down inside, they have something needs to be resolved. And when you get married, that is where, and every man needs to be married, unless you're going to be an apostle. It doesn't need to be married. I mean, a person who's arrived, and therefore short circuits the reproductive theater of war. See? Like Paul. You wouldn't expect Jesus to be married because he was born perfect. Marriage is to perfect you. So, how many of you succeeded in marriage? Hardly any. You can just look around. You know, there are variations of, excuse me, variations of warring. Sometimes it's two people fighting. Sometimes it's a person who's intimidating, but the lady intimidates her husband to find the man that she needs to say no to her, the way Adam should have, for which reason we have generations of ladies looking for men who are sort of infected. It's like, ever heard of Typhoid Mary? Typhoid Mary didn't know what she had. She was spreading typhoid, and you had to find that lady because she was spreading typhoid. She was immune to it herself, but she had effect. So women tend to be, because of original sin, tend to be Typhoid Marys, all of them. And they're always looking for a man. They want to be perfected. They want to be loved. But you've got to be careful about that. Every woman, there is not a single woman that is an exception to that. And there's not a single man that's not an exception to what I'm about to say, to deal with a woman so he can find meaning by learning to deal with a woman and yes, reproduce, but become the father to her she's never known as a father. Because the first man was the father of the woman, because she was taken.
That's right.
You see, because she was taken out of man, that was how she was born. The end result of marriage, I'm just going to short circuit it and fill in some details. The end result of marriage is that an old man and an old woman walk into the sunrise or sunset before they die as friends, where he becomes the father and not the husband. First he comes to the woman as a husband, reproductive, selfish, and sort of falls in love with her, but what she doesn't know, he's fallen from what love is all about. Just a relationship as a man attracted to a woman, it looks like love, it doesn't turn out, it's just hardly a marriage that works. Because if it does, it's only two silent people. Or one going off and being very successful in business, and the other one, being a nice, strong wife, or very, very efficient, but each one of them is doing something better to better the other. See, there's all kinds of variations of Mexican standoffs. See, wars, silence, and then divorce. The whole scene is pockmarked with people self-destructing in marriage. And then when finding out marriage doesn't work, they shack up. But it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. The same problems happen there. They kind of divorce and then find somebody else that they can shack up and divorce. See? So what I'm saying here is marriage is essential. Being afraid of marriage is foolish. But you can say to yourself, if I don't want to be married because I don't want to have children, I don't want to be like my mother, so you don't get married. Then you can't grow. Because you've got to take responsibility. You've got to go through the trials and tribulations. So I'm saying that marriage is more than just marriage and reproducing children. It's trial. It's a trial and tribulation for both people, both men and the woman. And so, how is your life? How is your married life? So, I've been married 62 years. We've got our problems. I don't move. She keeps trying. I don't move. And then, so the result of that is she gets better because I'm the man she needs. Or she doesn't get better because I'm the man that she needs. See, in other words, she is headstrong. Whoever it is, I'm speaking not just for her wife, with other women. So a woman can give you trouble all your life and test you. It could be the last minute that she finally sees. That's the thief on the cross syndrome, right? But a man must be there for a woman. The man is very important. He is seminal. He is vital to both his wife and his children. He has to be the head of the family, but God must be the head of him. But before that happens, she becomes the head of him. Because he doesn't understand the man born of woman. So shall a man leave his mother and father and be joined, bonded. That's what happens, but that's a setup. That is the setup so that salvation can come to the family through the man. And the man needs the woman to make it right. But he doesn't understand the story of Adam and Eve. He becomes now the husband, but sooner or later he's going to become a father of kids, and sooner or later he's going to become the father of his wife. Meaning, he has to deal with her with authority and not with looking for love and appeasement and sex. See, and not wanting to hurt her feelings because she wants to get along, and looking for approval because he's a fallen man. He's born of woman is a fallen man. See that? Because something happened in Paradise Lost, and that travels through the human race. And he will have to find what we call Jesus. And as the man must find it first, if at all possible. If not, the woman can find it first. And then her life becomes fulfilled in dealing with the fault of the man, because she knows how to deal with the spirit. There's something about a woman, if she doesn't have a good man, if she has the same capacity as a man, she has the same ability to be strong, resilient, not angry, not frustrated, resilient to the bully of the man, because in her wisdom she has reached into herself, realizing that she made a mistake. She's got a problem husband, and instead of hating him and making herself worse and him worse, there's a certain kind of woman that really gets it. And I don't meet many of those women. They're out there maybe, and every now and then you hear one call on my radio show. So I'm now dealing with my wife. So God gives a woman the same ability to see clearly, but not the ability to take charge. And she needs to know that. But for a little while, a woman who is, see, because I'm speaking about the men, I have to talk about the women, because otherwise they're hopeless. They're not hopeless if you understand what I'm saying. They have the same same intuitive ability to what is right and wrong for each moment. That's what she can recognize if her husband is right and wrong. See that? So, but she sees he's out of order and he doesn't. So, if she is a searching woman, she's given the gift, and that's why I try to help the ladies with that. That's when they meditate, they will get the same effect as a man. And that way, she's able to not react to his bullying, and therefore by not reacting, not supporting it. And the man then gets egg on his face because he finds that he can't hurt the woman, he can't punish the woman, he can't break the woman, he can't make the woman do what he wants, and appeasing doesn't work either because she's whole. She's becoming whole, and the becoming part of becoming whole, which is a continuous becoming, right? That's why you become perfect. Every day it makes you more perfect, and every day it makes you less perfect, depending on which road you're on. And so, sooner or later, the man will run away and marry another woman, but she'll be okay with the kids. She'll just be fine. She will have the Godhead nature of a man and still becoming a woman instead of a female. There's a big difference between a female and a woman. You see the difference? A woman is spiritual. A female is an animal. You apply the word female. I never like to hear the news media saying she's a female, this, and 5'6", whatever it is. She's wanted for the police, or somebody died, she was a female. But women are not females. We're female. We understand what role she plays, but she's not a female. That's an insult. To insult to call a woman a female, and an insult to call a man a male, because a male dog. Male dog doesn't have any other better names to it. We say female, woman, princess. Children want to see your mother, the mother as a princess, the father as a prince. That's what he wants to see. But we've got names for that, but not for dogs, or cats, or insects, right? I just want to make that clear. I never look at a woman as a female. That's degrading. Yes, you can be degraded and become a female and a whore. I get it. But I still don't look at the whore as a person who has become that. I will still see the woman in that. I will see the woman always there. I will not be offended by her. I would try to help her. I mean, just theoretically. Not that I've ever met one. You know what I mean? But that's what I've had people who are prostitutes call me and appreciate my work. See? So I am actually trying to say to you where you failed in marriage. And you can't compensate. You can't compensate by just taking up drawing. You somehow, I don't know how to do it, but my life is exemplary in the fact that I've stayed the course. And it's exemplary to my wife, she stayed with me. Because I'm not easy to deal with.
That's right.
That's right. No, I'm not. I am easy to deal with, but you don't want to mess with me. You really don't. And when I say don't mess with me, I'm not mean. The result of you messing with me is harm to you. In other words, I'm getting my voice back. So these are very sticky little points. You've got to understand these little sticky little points, how it applies to you as a woman, as a man. And let me just play with it just a little bit. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I failed on that department of dealing with women.
You're
properly.
dead, basically.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but you can, something can move you in your heart, you can recognize that.
Yeah.
And somehow, you're going to have to learn to deal with ladies. So you need to have a business or go to work or where you mingle with the ladies. There's something that's got to be, you can't be a hermit. You can't be sitting in your house painting.
No, that's not what I meant.
You're an intelligent fellow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say something and I don't know how to finish it.
That's quite right. I
Not
understand.
for you.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I had an idea, I just lost the turn of thought when you started to signal to me, and that's not your fault.
Mm.
But I believe that you have to work that out. You have to work your manhood out in relationship to Eve. Because you're born of woman, and therefore you're born from a pusher, and you're the dope. And then she's the dope pusher. Because she's inherited that role. Therefore shall man leave his mother and father, be joined to woman, and become one flesh. But that is punishment. That is something you have to work out to be a man. And if you are a man, then you are become so pure that you don't need that. You can bypass that. Well, Jesus was like that. Paul was like that. He didn't get married. Why for? He'd been saved. He is okay with it. I'm sure Jesus and Paul deal with women in a very manly and proper way. Wife or no wife. So you're going to have to find a way to deal with women.
Yeah.
I really mean that.
No, I'm doing much better.
Yeah. And that is a very important part of it, because every woman most women have just are suffering. They're suffering from the lack of men, of being men. They got a man, but what is it? It needs a mummy. So that's the dope pusher, and pusher relationship. Women are used. Men are users, and women outuse the user because that's all she's got for happiness. And what kind of happiness it is to outuse the user?
Exactly.
There's a movie called The Long Way Home. I don't know if you've seen it. It'll be around in the theater soon. And so the producers, it's a story of the prodigal son, modern story. And he's driving away from his father with his inheritance. And he's listening to the radio and hears my voice saying, you've got to be careful of women, to use the women because they outuse the user. And that was, so he's listening to Rusty Humphreys and me. And it's fortuitous because I take over his show. Take over his show for it until he comes back. But women will outuse the user, or they will be subservient to such a degree they turn a man into a monster, and her the victim. And even then, from her victim state, she allows herself to be beaten up. And if a policeman comes along, basically, just watch this scene. You have a man beating a woman up in the street. It's a boyfriend and a girlfriend, right? It's not unusual, but this is one scenario. And the policeman comes to rescue the woman. And he has to beat up the guy a little bit, pull him away. And when he's standing there finished with it, she curses the policeman. She doesn't show any appreciation. They go back together again. So the reason for that is she enjoys turning him into an animal, because deep down, even though she can't beat him one way, she can keep nagging him and being difficult and then giving in to him, giving in to everything he wants, more sex, until he goes crazy, and then sit quietly and judge him as if she's created the devil and she was God. That's how deadly it becomes. From her quiet place, from the fact that she's been beaten to a pulp, she will still look at the guy as the devil, and she has created the devil, therefore she is God. Now, she may not even think that. You never heard anybody talk like this before? But nobody has ever looked into people like this before. We only see the surface, and we have poor woman. But there may be not such a poor woman at all. She's taking pleasure in making him crazier and crazier and more evil. And she's bringing evil into the world because that's what God did. God had to create evil. He had to create it, didn't he? Isn't there a story about the angels, the war in heaven, and they fall to earth? And that's what's tempting man. We need temptation in order to be better. Now, coming around to my point. You have to suffer temptation. You have to suffer privation. You have to survive with resilience all the outrageous things that happen, trials and tribulations. Every one of them. But for men, for most men and most women, they have to go through that portal. That's the arrangement, and that's, yeah.
You were describing that scene where the woman fends off the policeman. If the only reason she's doing that is because then she wouldn't have nobody to mess with, nobody to mess up if they put him away in jail.
She needs something to
exactly.
Yeah. She in her own way, and man doesn't understand he's being set up. And when he realizes it, he projects the blame on her rather than his own weakness. If only he would understand that moment, transformation. The woman lies a runaway, and she finds somebody else she can do it too. You got rid of what you lost. You got rid of what you never should have had. Well, that's it. But you didn't divorce. You didn't divorce. You understand that? You haven't committed a sin if she divorces. Or he becomes a man, and all of a sudden she sees in him what she's been tempting him to be. And just because you're married doesn't mean, say, temptation doesn't stop with a good woman. Because there's always, she wants to see if you're still there. Don't you see? There's a sort of lack of faith. So you don't expect your marriage to ever become perfect. It ever becomes perfect. There's a Mexican standoff of some kind, right?
Is pride and ego the same thing? I mean, she's taking pride in creating the devil.
Ego and pride are the same creature. And pride is the becoming process. Meaning you're becoming more prideful, you're becoming more egotistical. And if you don't mind me saying, you become egotestical. Because that's what happens when you get angry and upset. You become less of a human being and more. There's something about the law of nature whereby a rhino only has sex once every 3 years. Otherwise you have too many rhinos running around. You have millions and millions of them, or they're almost invulnerable. So that, therefore, God in His wisdom has given rabbits, which are more vulnerable, reproduction 3 times a year with a loot of 5 little ones or so. There's the herring, it has 250,000 eggs. I mean, that is, otherwise they won't survive. It seems to be a number that each creature has to survive so that they can be eaten up, but still some survive for the better. And the whole universe, the whole world is a slaughterhouse. You don't see it. There's a cow in the field, a cow in the field, a cow in the field, a cow in the field. It's never the same cows that been eaten. Right? The survival of the fittest is always the right number of everything. And it each has, but with human beings, why I'm saying that is because when a man is an egotistical person, he is hungrier and hungrier, never satisfied. Anger and frustration, whether he gets laid, excuse the expression, and whether it doesn't matter how much he gets, the more he wants, because it feeds the hunger. He's not in love with the woman because he loves her. He loves it only for the passion he feels. He feels alive. And every time he feels alive, he's more dead. And then the woman is injured because he's used her, and she hates him, and she feels guilty. And when she feels guilty, then the demand comes for more. She doesn't know how to react, and when she's angry, the sexual feeling awakens, but it becomes a maternal thing. She comforts him, like mother. It's like having sex with mother. See how that is? It's really weird. And they exchange identities. The man becomes a woman, the woman becomes a man, and one day, all of a sudden you hear a rooster crowing, and he's become a homosexual because she's become him, and she becomes anyway. Don't want to go there. But the thing is, all this is going on all the time, and so therefore you're preoccupied with each other, but there's got to be a point where a man realizes, and a woman, there's got to be a meaning in life more than just getting love from people, and and having a nice house and a nice car. That's not where it's all about. What it's all about. It's nice to have that, and you can have that, but it says seek first the kingdom and God, and all other things will be added. But seek first the kingdom. What we unconsciously, when we're born and we become a man, we seek first the woman because there's something missing in us. There's something missing in us that we think the woman has for us, because she's maternal and attractive. She's mothering. But what we need is fathering. The sex act is just nothing. It's just temporary. But what is important is to be a good father to what is now going to be 21 years of, and then maybe more than that because you have more children. So it goes on to 31 years and 41 years. And still you're not finished because you've got grandchildren. And then they need the wisdom of that. And now you've got communism tearing all this down. And shacking up becomes what you see it's become. There's no meaning in life. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Yeah. He asked the question about painting, and look where I put it. Painting, what good is it? What is it? You want to see something beautiful? Look at a blade of grass. Look at a dandelion thing floating away in a parachute and say, how does it get to be a parachute? How does it know how to create a parachute for its seed? And every creature has its way of reproducing.
Have you ever seen that? There's a seed from a tree, and it mimics a helicopter.
Yeah.
It's so
That was one of the first things that I was walking down a country lane as a boy, and I saw that. I forget what the name of the tree is.
Maple.
Maple tree.
Yeah.
Well, there you are. How does it know how to do that?
And every seed is different.
And then you have the dandelion seed. This seed doesn't know it's alive.
No.
It doesn't know it exists. So who does it call upon? I mean, how is it made that way?
Designer.
How is it made? And if you look carefully at nature, it's astonishing. I can't sit here and talk. I'd be talking forever. You just have to see it and say, my God. You watch National Geographic is absolutely, you'll be able to see there what you may never see.
Yeah.
All the way that life exists in its mean form or its beautiful form or whatever you want to call it. You find that down in the caves, there's still life. No dark, no food, it eats rocks for a living. President Obama, I wish he could eat rocks for a living. I wish you'd adapt to that. But the point is, he asked a question about painting. Now, I've got a granddaughter who loves to paint, but then she's very good at it, and she can sell her paintings for book covers and things. So there's a value to it. All of a sudden, it's not just painting, say, look how good I am. No, it has a purpose, and then an enjoyment in it, and it produces, it's valuable, it has commercial value, and that's value. We all have to have some kind of commercial value, right? But that's part, and then in the process of being of a commercial value, whether you're working for somebody in a factory, is again, the process should be effortless. You enjoy what you do. You don't mind what you're doing. It doesn't take effort and frustration. And you've got people who look down their nose at you, and you have a bad foreman. If you can deal with all those things, but you can't do it if you can't deal with your wife properly. You can't do it if you're a horny kid. Your mind isn't there. So all it's got to go. I mean that. All gone. Meaning, all I have is enjoying people. I like to meet with you, talk with you every Sunday. I like to do my programs in the air. Sometimes I'm doing Rusty Humphrey shows, and there's nobody calls because there's not that many stations live, but there's 117 refeeds, so I just talk to myself. But I make it interesting. I actually feel that there are people there, and there are, but there's not. So they can't respond. But never mind, I can talk to that, because I know that they're out in the atmosphere somewhere. I can talk to the atmosphere just like I'm talking to you. It's nice to talk to you, because then you can, say something to me and make it more make your life more meaningful. See, you are too quiet. When I first came into this room, there are not many people here today because it's nice weather. It's the beginning of summer. And so it's nice So I am not here to make you slaves. I'm here to be here for you because you need to hear something, and that's good. And maybe you're a little bit maybe you're a little bit stubborn, or I use the word retarded.
Repressed.
It's not good. Repressed. Repressed. And so you need to come many times before you can even speak up, because the fear of speaking up.
Right, yeah, it's from school.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where it's from, but
yeah,
but
that was one of the...
that's why I picked on you, see, now you can talk with me. So your suppressed speech represents your loss of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is first, the freedom of speech, which is the aspect of it, is because that is important for you, because when you speak, this is the means of communication. Where are you coming from? Does it bother people? Because there's always evil people in the world that your free speech bothers. See,
Yes.
I can make a whole lecture on that subject. But there's really, really wicked people in this world.
Yeah, they don't want me to speak.
And every now and then a Hitler comes along and gathers them up. And usually there's more of them than there is of us. And in a society like this, a permissive society, more and more people get caught up with it, and even the best yield or run away. And what's left is they want to kill, because once the system of doing unto others what was done to you, once you don't know how to deal with life and pressure, you begin to be transformed into one of them. And then when you have enough one of them, they vote in one of them as their Führer. And all of a sudden, you got what's happening in America, which is what I predicted because I understand the system. And the first thing you have to do is destroy the marriage. Because in a marriage, there's the head is the father in a holy marriage. But that system can't tolerate, the evil system can't tolerate a healthy marriage and healthy children. You can only tolerate to break them and to give them a new master, hell. And that's what you have rising. Hell is rising. Right? Okay? That's what's happening in this country. Broken homes. So the government, dark. People by the wrong. In other words, when you have a broken people and when you have a demoralized people, then they will elect a demoralizing person, because if you look carefully in your own life, when you're demoralized, you always look down for reassurance. You look down to the spirit of demoralization for the reassurance that you are, for the reinforcement for what he's made you. And that's dark. That's the drug addict looks to the drug pusher. He rises to the occasion of his need from hell, in a manner of speaking. So therefore you see, our country is finished. Unless more people like you are listening, there's no hope. And there are people like you out here in the world that listen, but they will turn the program off. In other words, they have the same problem that you got, but you love there's something in you that loves what I'm saying, and something in them that doesn't, and is threatened. And so, listening to me, they get even more angry. And when they get more angry, they go to a group of people that agrees with what they hate about me. Yeah. Do you want to say?
Yeah, you're talking about there's more of them. There's already been a statement I was reading on one of the newscasts on the internet that 86 million Americans support 124 million. I don't know what the figure is, but it's skewed. In other words, it's just, it's getting less and less people working, supporting the people that don't.
That's right. And very soon they'll vote themselves. That's what they've done. They voted themselves in. Someone represents them and makes us slaves. And then if you don't work, if you don't work hard enough, they'll kill you. or they keep your family, and you work in the salt mines. Because they have to have creative people, but they have to be slaves. See? And so, in a manner of speaking, so Jewish people during the war were either murdered and put in the crematoriums, or made to work where they were bright in atomic, in science, to help but they would hold the wife and children as hostages. See, that's how it works. The same in Russia. So you are eventually going to become slaves. Everybody who works and everybody's in. Otherwise, they just get rid of you. If you have a family and nobody has you just sell clocks and watches, or you sell groceries, they'll kill you.
There's another factor.
And that's how. But it becomes very powerful because then they invade another. When they exhausted the resources of one country, they would invade another. Sooner or later, something has to stop them. And then we have to shed our blood to stop them. I don't think people understand what's really going on. I don't understand, but when I say I don't understand, they don't understand. They just see it happening and they just have to fight it. But the honorable Democrat is not an honorable Democrat, he's a communist. See that? Something has changed. The left has been compromised. Liberalism is good people. I mean, liberals are good people in the sense they mean well, they don't want to fight. They just don't believe in war, which is silly, because they don't stand up and they've got little problems in their home anyway, but they somehow survive it. Sort of the Mexican standoff kind of thing in the home. Have a nice home, and there's nothing really going on, just there is something going on, but you don't see it. It's just, everything looks on the surface pretty nice. So I have several liberal friends, they're very nice people, but if you look deeper into it, there's abuse, silent abuse. A woman's quiet, she doesn't say anything, she wants to keep the family together, right? And she looks happy, she's dying. I see it all. But the thing is, the more I see, the more horrible it looks, the more dangerous it is. And I see, but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid, but I see what's coming. You could see what's coming and be scared. I don't get scared. I know it's coming, and maybe they'll have me. Maybe they won't, who knows? But it's all my marriage and having children has put me through the proper path of being Adam and Eve, walking off into the sunrise, not the sunset. She's my daughter, I'm dad. I'm dad to the children, I'm dad to her, because I'm the dad she's never known, spiritually. And now speaking now on the spiritual self. Do you see the value of marriage? The only problem is the woman pleased with that? Because if she's egotistical, as your word, she wants to beat me. She wants to tear it down. And so if you have such a marriage, you have to hold the ground for the children, because the children always want you to win. The women, the girl children want you to win. The boy children want you to win. And if they see you lose, they lose out and become infected by their mother. And then they hate their mother as well.
They become like their mother.
And they become like their mother. And they may even hate becoming like their mother. And they hate because they hate, they are becoming like their mother, but they can't stop hating. So that women are a curse or a blessing, however you make it. They don't have to be perfect. when you get married, don't expect it to be perfect, but don't be a mealy-mouthed nothing, and don't be a bully. Somewhere there's a man. Nothing must move you. And then she has a chance. But usually when you get married, you have to kind of wait for a little while to learn the lesson that everybody needs to learn, because there's no book on it. So if there's young people listening to me on this program, I would think you'd keep your powder dry and leave the women alone, and women leave the men alone until you mature and find meaning. Find something you love to do. Because once you find the thing you love to do, not because of ego satisfaction, but because it has a purpose. If you're going to draw, then love the drawing because you appreciate nature. You want to study it and see all the way a leaf is all configured, and all the little parts of it are so magical. It's awe. Not just drawing a belief, it's just weighing, wow, just look at all those little veins and things. How does it do it? It talks to you. And that is tantamount to worship. The appreciation of the world. See, I'm seeing the iPhone here. I appreciate my iPhone. I say, wow, it's got all rare earths. But what do you mean by rare earth? There's only so many elements. And then there isn't any. The whole universe is made up of these elements, not elephants. And elephants are made by elements. But I say to myself, wow, all these elements made by different suns, one explodes and all of a sudden it explodes because it's made helium. Then you have a helium star that takes the helium and turns it into carbon and oxygen and whatever it is. Each sun is a production line. Each sun is a production line. See, so it's just wonderful to watch. And I think to myself, here's my little cell phone. Each one of these, there's rare earths in here. There's silicon, right? And so all of a sudden, silicon, if you hit it with a hammer, it creates electric charge. See? Wow, it's piezoelectric. And what does it do that for? And every element has peculiarities. If it didn't, then God will show each person how to use this to make this. How does this thing work? He says, they're crazy. Hello, Siri? No. And she talks to you. You can argue, she argues back. All this is in here? And all this God knew ahead of time? God knew God invented this a long time ago with everything else. So these are the fruits of freedom. Otherwise you'd be cannibals. Our country is degenerating into cannibals. Because what's happening was just to fill the void. What's happening is there's so many people becoming dark, like Nazis, like communists, like Al-Qaeda, or, there's so many different variations of wickedness, of genocide, people who are capable of killing their own kind, only because they're different. And you actually, in a family, you can actually have a really wicked family, and so the parents are really wicked, the mother's submissive and goes along with anything, and then you have children coming into the family, and one of them is not like the others. And the scripture says, honor your mother and father, that your days may be long on the land the Lord God giveth thee. Have more children, right? Visiting the iniquities, projecting, that's the proper word, the iniquities into the first, third, and fourth generation, but showing mercy for those who love me, keep my commandments. Every now and then you have
Abraham.
No, not in Abraham. But when you have chickens, you have a black chicken and a throwback. The word is a throwback. So you'd have a black chicken and a white chicken, then you have black and white chickens and white chickens with black spot, little black spot, black chickens with a little, but the various, but every now and then a black chicken and a white chicken come out. See, it's throwback. And that is genetics, I won't go into that. But every now and then you find a kid that's really resilient. And because he's resilient, and he's only a little boy of 3, the rest of the family already see it. He's not one of us. Kill him. And kill him they would if it was Germany. And parents kill children for that same reason. The ones they can destroy and just go mad and do most horrible things they're happy with. But the one that is pure, and it doesn't know it's pure, the child doesn't know how it's different, they want to kill it. And you have no idea how many murders there are. You want to even kill them before even before they're born, right? Yeah. And then they'll kill them when they are born. There's such a bloodlust of innocence. To kill a baby before it's born and kill it when it comes out is a bloodlust. That's not that. Now a person can be forgiven for that because they could be converted. There's always a redemption. There's a redemption factor. But remember the Tutsis and the and what was the other one? Hutu.
Yeah.
The same race. One part of the race becomes like conservatives. The other kinds become liberals, and then corrupted liberals become communists. The welfare and all, they become a welfare group. They drift into that area and become possessed by evil. Already, you hear, we are having investigations into conservative people who want to have a non-profit organization. And the people who own this country, who started this country, good Christians, they are looked at, the Tea Party is looked at as the terrorists. They are different. They will kill you. See that? They will take all the scum out of the lowest of all low, scummest of all the scum out of the prisons and deputize them. And so they do the dirty work. Obama doesn't have to do the dirty work, he just has to give the commands. Hitler never killed anybody.
There was a movie called Rwanda Hotel.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was about that very thing. And then I remember one of the characters, and then there's, what do you think the cause of all this is? It says, well, it was the Belgian government. And I go, geez, these guys are insane.
That's right.
Yeah, I just go, what?
It's evil.
Yeah.
It's pure evil. It's just a set of people who are... Why do you think Jewish people, they want to kill Jews? Why does Iran want to build atomic bomb just to kill all Jews? What have Jews ever done to them? Because they're different.
He was jealous.
No, you got it. No, listen to me. Yeah. Forget the jealousy. Different. The difference is they're closer to good and they're closer to evil. And it has to happen. So you can accept, there's nothing going to change that except a nuclear war. Because Israel's only got a small number of people. They have to use it. They have to.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they'll be dead.
That's it. So no, you're going to have a nuclear war, right?
What's
It's
that?
absolutely guaranteed.
Yeah.
And there'll be hardly left a person on earth to survive this. If God didn't intervene, right there.
It says that in the Bible, yeah.
Well, you can see it.
Yes.
You can see it in your own country. You are persecuted because you're different. So if you're Sarah Palin, you're a slut.
If
But if you're a socialist, you're a slut, you're a lady.
They go out of their way to throw roadblocks in front of you if you want to do the right thing.
Well, yeah, that's obviously. But now, it's up to you. You have to be a man. You have to stop sitting there on your seat and sit there quietly and do nothing and never make a mark. You've got to make your mark on this world.
Right, they're gonna use the inner city gangs.
Oh, that's what they're there for. On the other show, I've been talking about that. The gangs are there purposely kept there for years.
Right.
Why do they go after people who want to have a 501c3 non-profit and not go after the gangs? Why do you spit on the sidewalk and they put you in jail?
They wanna disarm the honest, law-abiding citizens.
That's right. It's got to be lawlessness is law. What one thinks, all thinks. You see, you have to have everybody monitoring everybody. Everybody doing unto others what was done to them, and you have a system of evil. But then you have peace. The communists call everybody who listens to everybody who is all the way to the top. And so that the only thing you do is you do as you're told. You do not think. Because if you think, you disturb the system, because the system is harmony, and this harmony is hell, where nobody can express themselves of what one thinks, all thinks, therefore you have peace. That's how they think of as peace.
Borg.
Yeah, the Borg. But there's different kinds of names for the Borg. There's cannibals, there's Al-Qaeda, there's socialism, there's fascism. But you can't appease them. You see, we can put a stop to this. We who are the few can still put a stop to this if you weren't a mealy-mouthed person. You.
Yes.
Silent, survive, don't say anything, but people walk over you anyway, don't they?
Yes, I'm getting better, but
Yeah.
you're
You
right.
need to stand up. You need to take, the first time someone says something, excuse me, is my eye hurting your elbow? What do you mean by that? I said, is my eye hurting your elbow? What do you mean by that? I said, get back off, please, thank you.
Yes,
See?
I'm not. Well, I know every time I come here and you say something, and I don't fight with it, I change. So
Yeah, and there is a key. Every time he hears me say something and he doesn't fight with it, you change. See the ants? That's a good lesson from you right here. I'm just making a good point for everybody. All the ladies here, if you have a man and you don't fight him because you have an ego, you see, and you don't like to be told to do anything. You don't like the other person's opinion because it's better than yours. See? And he's more right than you are, and you sense it. There's your reaction. See, so I'm looking at you. We're looking at each other, aren't we? You know what I'm talking about. So, because you have a way of making your husband better by learning to be patient with him and just wait, just let him yell and scream until he's finished.
I know that's critical, to just stand there and do
Critical.
nothing.
Because a woman can actually make a man realize, just not by not responding, to intimidate you to give in to him. Because a man will intimidate or buy you flowers to give in to.
Yeah.
But if you don't fall for that, he feels uncomfortable.
It is interesting, when you're married, you'll learn. You'll learn that that's the
Marriage
only
is
thing that
learning.
works.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely crucial that you do that. That doesn't mean they're always succeeding doing that, but I'm getting much better at it.
That's it, and you're becoming a much prettier woman.
You know, and
Yeah, you become a much more beautiful woman. You become a more beautiful man.
it's so important to be married.
Yeah.
It's
But
how you grow.
the point I'm making is that you all have those little hiccups along the road, right? I don't know what to call them. Little things. Your life is made, in one day, maybe 1,000 of them. In one day, I don't notice any. because I'm so used to doing it. It doesn't bother me. I'm just I'm on a 50-foot wave with my surfboard. See, in the beginning, you can't get on your surfboard. You don't have to stand up on it. But if a couple of years later, you could ride a 50-foot wave, it would kill everybody else. And so arrows will fall to the right of you and arrows fall to the left, but neither will come unto thee. That's what the 91st Psalm, I think it is.
Yeah, there's something I've noticed. If a really pretty girl smiles at me, I feel this irrational fear of living up to that expectation because I know,
Isn't it amazing?
I know I can't.
That's an interest.
It's like I think I was set up that way when I was growing up.
But
it's
look what
like
he
this
said. Look what he
fear.
said. You've ever heard that before?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
What?
Oh, what you just said. When a pretty girl smiles at you,
Yeah, it's
you
like
feel
I
like
feel
you feel insecure that you can't live up to that
I can't
expectation,
live
and
up-
she wasn't
I can't-
expecting it anything.
What's that? It was but it's still that whatever it is being loved.
And if you get what you expected, you're lucky,
If I am
or
loved,
unlucky, whatever you want to call
it doesn't it's not with everybody, but with some people it's like it's almost like I can't measure up. I'm like in a sense this irrational fear hits me and it's like
But look,
it's
what you're saying. Hold it right there. I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why you stay in your diabetic state. You've got type 1.
yeah.
So you are, you don't live long when you're type 1.
I know,
You know that,
49
don't you?
years old is the average age.
So,
Yeah.
all right, how old are you now?
57.
Thank you. How
Yeah.
long you been coming to it? You've been coming for years
Since
and years.
85 I was here.
Yes, you're still alive, aren't you?
Yes, I
And
am.
you're still alive and kicking.
Yes,
Why?
I am.
Because you're listening to what I have to say.
Yeah, I am, and I'm still working.
You're way beyond the and there's more to be done.
I'm slow. I'm slow at everything.
But you are getting there.
Yeah, I'm very slow though. It's like
But you can't afford to be slow.
I know I'm really dense, but I have changed my diet, and that gives me the edge to where I can manage my diabetes.
Of course, but then
And
you
that-
need a man.
that
But
keeps
you
me
need a
alive
man.
longer.
No, but more so, that what you just said is very revealing.
Yeah.
Such a little thing can affect you, and if the minute it affects you, you're less, not more.
Yeah,
It means that God's nature is not pure inside you, so that it just rolls off you. It's a shield. See, it's not in your DNA. What I'm speaking about is a shield. So when I speak of myself, I'm speaking of him, the shield. I'm not speaking about Roy's flesh and blood, weak. I cut myself, I bleed.
yes.
You shoot me, I die. Okay? So I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about my movements through life carry with me him.
He steps in.
That's what has to happen to you.
I had to have the faith to allow that to happen.
Yeah, but the faith comes from what he says, what you said just a little while ago, because when I say something to him and he doesn't get mad at it,
Yeah.
he gets better.
Yeah.
Well, you just revealed something that's important.
Now, I kind of missed it because I was busy talking. and I think I might
You
have
say
talked-
what you say, Eugene.
Yeah.
Hear what he had to say.
I don't know how it works, but if you criticize, it's hard-
Make a point
it's
about
hard for me to talk
yeah.
sometimes. But if what you say, if I take it and I don't fight with it,
Yeah, that's it.
I've changed.
That's it.
Yeah, and I've seen that in
Like a week
myself
later,
too.
So now, you're a freaking coward. You're a people pleaser.
Yes, I
See
am.
it? People pleaser.
Yeah.
And that's where you see it.
I've been
But
that way.
But that people pleasing moment is like you don't have. This is a beautiful woman. I can't live up to that. But
Yeah.
you really want to live up to that.
Yes, I
You
do.
feel ashamed not to. I think you should be ashamed of not living up to God wants you, rather than woman wants you.
Well, I agree.
You're woman-centered. That's your
Yeah,
disease.
That's my problem. I was raised by
I told the lady. I get it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
raised by what?
2 women. The
I-
unreasonable grandmother.
I got it.
Yeah,
I had a call one day,
yeah.
and my theory is type 1 diabetes is easy to cure. So one lady called up, and she says, I have a son with type 1 diabetes. So I gave her a good lecture. I said, use the meditation, and become a different mother, stop overbearing, and stop turning against her father and all the rest of it. Start being mothering it, all the good stuff. And she calls 6 months later, she says, I said, how's your son? He says, he doesn't have diabetes. But it gets worse, actually, because she started to fall back. And she called up, she said, my son's got it again. I said, what have you done? She says, I failed. I started getting it. And that was the end of the story. Well, it was a curve, but the point was made.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's curable.
I agree.
You have autoimmune problem. That's all that is, and it's
Yeah, it
permanent.
attacks, the T cells attack the pancreas.
Now, I don't have to be a doctor to know that.
Yeah.
You've got all these processes in your blood's chemistry.
When you were talking about the man and the woman, I was thinking about when my mom would go to work, she'd come home and I'd be with my crazy grandmother. It'd be like the man coming home from work, and I'd be running out to greet her.
You got to start letting those things go, and you let them go as things occur. That one of those things occur. If you would just stop and look at how silly that is,
Yeah.
it will go away.
I looked at it. I looked at the last time that happened.
You don't have to have me telling you.
It was like I looked at the last time it happened. I can watch things, but they don't necessarily change. But I'll see it, and I said, "Oh, I see that about myself." You know,
Then it doesn't happen anymore. After a while, it doesn't
eventually,
happen, and then there's the next thing that
and
you never saw.
You allow
and
that.
then there's the next thing.
Yeah.
And there's so many next things, which is the process of becoming perfect.
Yeah.
See, that's the process of becoming perfect.
Yes.
You can't be perfect, but you can become,
I agree.
and you have the correction factor inside you.
Try not to jump in there and do something about it. Yeah. That's it. Just see it.
Who understands that? Good. So I want to see you glowing. You got to glow. You see, because I can. If I was a bully, I could see you. You have the look. You have the look that says, "I won't hurt you. Please don't hurt me."
Yeah, I won't. Right. Yes, but
But I like what's in you. I like what's in you.
I just,
Do you want to say anything?
I can't talk because I'm crying.
You know, just talk and cry at the same time.
It's not, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, I'm all right with it.
No, I have dealt with bullies better since.
What was that?
I've dealt with bullies better because
Yeah.
I can see them, what they're going to do.
And how's the effect on them?
They stay away.
Yeah, in other words, you don't have to fight.
No, I don't have to fight. But
Do you have a good right hook?
have a what? Well, I'm more of a runner.
No.
I was a runner. That's how I survived.
You're a gazelle,
Right,
not a lion.
right. Yeah, that's how I survived.
I'm a gazelle and a lion. I know both.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in a few fights, but I know that when you deal with a bully, you have to be prepared to fight.
Well, yeah, and not to worry about you being hurt.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen
but
that.
the fearlessness of it. See, the bully is a brute,
Right.
an animal. He's an animal. Whether he can be converted into a good person, could be that you are the one that awakens him. However, right that moment he's a bully. He's been bullied, therefore it became a bully.
Right.
So he's doing to you what was done to him. So now that may be the kind of person you're able to help, but it doesn't look like it. It only looks like a bully to you, right? So the first thing the bully requires, because he's not human. He's pure animal and evil, but not permanently so, if you understand that. Just, he can be redeemed, like all of us.
Right.
But the point is, he's right now he's on the bad side,
Right.
and you're on the good side. And so, if you are, he's testing you to see to whom you belong. If you're fearful, you belong to him. If you're angry, you belong to him. But if you are neutral, but not fearful, neutral, bold, calm, resilient. It's just everything bounces off of him. Nothing disturbs you. He's not an experience to you. You're an experience to him. Something of an experience, but you're not doing anything. He needs you to react so he can take action. He can't take action until he get you to react. Right. He can only action out of your reaction. He cannot. It's almost impossible. Except you have to. If you have a gun in your back, you may have to in your back pocket. You might have to use that, but it rarely happens. It rarely happens in life, even in America. You deal with bullies like that, they cannot function. They walk away. Yeah, they walk away. Or they say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mean it." Right. See?
They become your friend. One thing I saw that when I saw the bully, the temptation came, well, now I can bully him. And that was...
Oh, yeah. That is something that has to pass, because then all of a sudden, yes, that is another temptation,
That was
isn't
temptation.
it? But these are silent things. All these are silent things that nobody writes about. There's so many of them, you would have to have, a book as thick as this room. And so you just mentioned about when a woman smiles at you, you feel like you couldn't live up to that appreciation. And that you made her God. Because I would like to live up to God to appreciate me, but that's
Sure, but
that's
I don't
the
have it
reverse.
within me. I don't have it within me to contrast it. So that thing I'm pulling on by knowing I don't have it is what allows God to step in and give me what I need.
You just feel like, but you see how
Yeah.
silly. But if you can just see how silly that is, that's all you need to see. How silly.
Oh yeah, it's an irrational.
You
fear.
don't
That's
have
what I called
to,
it.
and it doesn't have to
Irrational.
flash back to your
Childhood. No,
yeah,
no, I
it
was
doesn't
just
have
using
to.
that as
It
an
just says it's
example,
going to be.
which is
It really doesn't.
where I
If you
came
forgot it could even forget your childhood and see how silly the
Yeah, it is.
bang.
It's irrational.
But
yeah.
it goes away by the watching of it.
Yeah.
And everybody's got something like that. So we don't have to go. I don't think anybody wants to speak about these things. They may not come to you because we're glad you spoke up. Glad you spoke up. See, because each one of you said something everybody needs, but they haven't got whatever it takes to even to agree with it. I just see them sitting there like this, like South Park, which I occasionally watch. I'm guilty. The satire is so clever. It gets pretty rude sometimes, doesn't it?
I don't watch that.
I don't like the rude ones. All right. Now we're just closing. Well, let me say we're going to close this part, and we're going to have some continued discussions, and we'll put those discussions later on when our producers decide that it's good enough for Google, Schmoogle, wherever they want to put it in the social media. Thank you for watching the program. We're going to continue just a few minutes, maybe a little while, talking to my audience. If you want a copy of this, they will make it available, I'm sure, some way. Okay, but we have to find a way to streamline what we're doing here. And I had a very nice conversation with you. I've enjoyed it. My voice seemed to have come back. So that's the magic. It does. Not as good as it should be. But I can't be all over Twitter all the time. I can't be perfect. I got my foibles and my weaknesses. Thank you very much. And we're having a seminar, 4th of July. If you'll check the website, the information is all there.
Roy Masters is going to have an amazing 4th of July seminar at Tall Timber Ranch in beautiful Southern Oregon. And right now, it is absolutely gorgeous with 5 lakes, a giant gazebo. You have to experience Roy Masters' 4th of July Liberation Seminar. Liberation from anger, from fear, from guilt, from disease. Your personal Independence Day. Reserve your place at Tall Timber Ranch 4th of July weekend. The last time they filled up, they were beyond capacity. And if you're ready to have that personal liberation, that personal Independence Day, this is the time to do it. Call 800-877-3227. That's 800-877-3227 during regular business hours Monday through Friday Pacific Time. Make your reservations while you can.